Hi, Nicole. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the long and short of it, where Nick and I are talking politics at work. How are you,
Oh,
Nick?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I need a drink for this one. I feel like we're in for a doozy.
Oh, yeah, I think we are. Hey, we both have our hair tied back. We didn't plan that, did we?
No, we've been
Mine's in a
hanging out
bun.
too much. We're
Oh,
both wearing black.
yes. We're both with hair tied up.
Maybe because of the
My,
rain.
it's my cold weather raining hairdo, to be honest.
Mhm. It's
Yeah.
been really gross. My internet cut out in the middle of a facilitation this morning. Like,
Ah,
worst nightmare. It took 2 minutes to hook up the hotspot, but we got there.
excellent.
Gonna
And
do.
hopefully it doesn't happen throughout this recording. Yeah.
I hope. Well, we'll see. Or I'll just pretend freeze. You know that you're in
Like
very
I
room.
pretend froze with our episode with Mark.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I think he got away with it.
No,
Um,
he was saying some spicy things about the relationship between finance and HR, and I couldn't comment. Oh,
we're stuck.
we need a
We're stuck
redo.
in
I was
the
stuck.
Zoomverse. Well, hopefully we don't get stuck today. I've been getting a lot of conversation about this, and I would love to hear your perspective. So, as an American living in Australia, I get a lot of probing questions about who I support in the upcoming November election. And I never know where people are. So I guess I'm probably politically correct, no pun intended, around my positioning and everything. But I know there's a bigger discussion at work because when we think about it, we went from policies like, I don't want to date us, but when I started in HR a long, long time ago and things are paper based, it was like we don't talk politics or religion at work. It was just out of the conversation. I think there were even policies about it at the time. Then workplaces got more progressive and it was like, actually, bring your whole self to work. Now, I think there's some challenges with that because we're not always inclusive enough for people to feel comfortable bringing their whole selves to work, nor do we necessarily want their whole selves at work when it comes to their political leans or opening debate. But now we're in this weird murky middle, which I think is interesting. And we're in remote, globally distributed teams a lot of the time where cross borders, there's maybe a lack of understanding of the political landscape. And a simple question could turn into potentially like a relationship destroying conversation,
Mm.
depending on people how people handle it. And so would love to get your perspective on what is the right approach and what have you seen when it comes to politics, especially at work, and how people might want to navigate those conversations, either from a people lens, like how do I enable my company to have these conversations, or should I at all? And then from the person engaging in them.
Mm. Just another thing for BNC to navigate, right? Like, I mean, could this gig get any more tougher?
No, isn't this the easy part? Like
Yeah.
COVID, global pandemic, and now this.
And now this, lump that in the middle. I I love how you described, where we were and where we've come to. I mean, I don't want to date us either, but back in my payroll days, when we were carving numbers on a stone, a lot of topics were taboo. And then, as you move, as you just said, there's a lot of progressive workplaces that just want to talk about everything and anything, and that kind of is fantastic, but that gives you a culture of attracting the talent that wants to subscribe to that sort of workplace.
Yeah.
But are you then missing out on different types of talent as a result? Oh, spicy comment. But to answer your question, I think I love just finding the balance in everything in life. I don't like it when we've gone from one extreme to the other. And I think about like the recent changes as well in terms of pay transparency. People allow, under legislation, people are able to talk about their pays, and that's just like the beginning of what else am I allowed to talk about in the workplace.
Yeah.
Um, I think about when you ask me this question, I think about the book Crucial Conversations
Mhm.
and having difficult conversations. I know it's more in the context of having difficult conversations when you have feedback to deliver to someone, but
Yeah.
this is different. It's in the context of having a difficult conversation because you disagree fundamentally with someone on something. And in fact, the book talks about how can you have a crucial conversation when you fundamentally disagree on something and the stakes are high.
Yes.
And so I think about, some of the fundamentals in that framework, which is around come with an open mind, stay curious. That's a favorite of mine.
Mhm.
Park your judgment. I mean, we underestimate humans and adults' ability to park judgment and say, I hear you, I understand where you're coming from. I'm choosing not to judge you, but I'm allowed to disagree with you.
Yep.
I think there's a big element of maturity in saying, I disagree,
Hmm.
and then keep having the conversation, not I disagree, followed by awkward silence, followed by, okay, we can't be friends anymore. And now you know, async reach out to you when I need something from you and avoid you at all costs. Like we have to get better at this part.
Yeah.
Where you can just say, I disagree with the idea, or I disagree with this notion, or I don't make it personal, but you're allowed to disagree. That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
And the other one is set some boundaries for every interaction. Set
Mm.
some set some boundaries. That to me is what I've seen work well. In terms of various conversations that are set on the sensitive side, whether it's about politics or religion, um, or differences of opinion around something, whatever it is. I've seen it done well in organizations that say, we're going to have this conversation as consenting adults, going to
Yeah.
set some boundaries. Here are the rules, almost like a mediation session, but just between colleagues.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak over you. You can't speak over me. We're going to come at this from a place of respect
Hmm.
and a mutual respect. I'm going to listen with intent, not listen to respond, just listen with an open mind. I'm going to ask questions from a place of curiosity, not a place of patronizing
Hmm.
or downgrading, not like a sarcastic tone of questioning. Um, and it's okay that at the end of it, no one changes their mind. It's okay that we continue to disagree. But what's more important is we've had the conversation with that foundation of respect and trust. If at
Uh-huh.
any point in time or any of these foundations are challenged or not followed, we
Yeah.
will call the meeting, like we will call the discussion, we will end it
Hmm.
and move on and say, okay, we tried it, didn't work.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's not talk about it again. We'll move on to do other things together.
Hmm.
Um, for me, I guess one story that resonates with me is when I was working for a religious organization and topics around in the healthcare space, topics around euthanasia, abortion, um, and political views around what's happening at a state level in terms of those conversations. I saw the leaders of that organization saying, This is our heritage as an organization, and this is what we stand for, but we welcome all opinions and we respect each other. We used to put out leadership statements during difficult times when there's a vote against a law or to change something at a state level or whatever, where we would say, as a leadership team, this is what we stand for, but it's not either or, it's the yes and
Hmm.
we welcome everyone's views that don't align with these views. Everyone belongs, everyone's welcome, everyone's included. And I found that particularly like just powerful. And it
Hmm.
gave people, I mean, we're all adults. We don't need the leadership team to give us permission, but it gave
Yeah.
people a bit of a breathe. Like
Yeah.
these problems are bigger than us. We're just me mortals trying to get on with our daily life.
Hmm.
Just breathe and respect and listen and get on with it, really.
Yeah. No,
Mm.
it's so true. And I like the idea of the boundary setting or working agreement, because if you can't get that to begin with, then you have to question, is there enough maturity to have the conversation? Or why am I even engaging in the conversation to begin with?
Yeah.
And not having extremes, like not
Mm.
talk about it at all to like open everything. I saw a post the other day, actually. It was in an HR group, which was, how do you all feel about people wearing shirts that say like, whoever I'm supporting,
Mm.
year?
Stuff.
Yeah, right. And it's like, ooh, it's been a while since I've had a dress code policy. And chances are none of these remote companies have any dress code policies, or maybe it's under the harassment discrimination policy, like no offensive remarks or comments. And so then you have to say, let's just be really clear on like what's considered offensive or not. Having that person's name, it might be offensive to me if I support the opposition, but like, is it truly offensive? No. But if you're the person wearing the shirt, you're inviting judgment potentially without the context of someone being able to be curious and understand without judgment, because you're just wearing it to like a product roadmap meeting and not a happy hour, right? And so I think there's definitely some maturity in there. And if organizations can give the guide rails, like we
Mm,
know that it's divisive and polarizing for a lot of folks to have these conversations. If you choose to engage, we just ask that you abide by these guidelines and boundaries. And most of the time, if you find out someone's on the opposing side and you want to get curious, like ask permission if they even want to engage in the conversation.
true.
And because sometimes they just don't. And it's like, it's exhausting to have to like share, even if you're just coming at it from a place of curiosity. But I will say it's hard because going back to what you said, avoiding judgments and disagreeing on ideas, sometimes there's disagreement on facts because the facts are reported differently through different outlets in the media. And so you might think you're working with facts on both sides, right? And who knows what the truth is? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
the hardest part. And so entering those conversations from a place of curiosity, and yes, we can disagree on ideas or share what the future vision of our like aspiration and wants are for a particular outcome of the country, not necessarily the person who's running for it. But that's a starting place to not make it so open and closed. There is that murky middle. But I don't know. I had the first productive family conversation on this, which I've told you about before. I won't go into detail, but just say my family and I are on opposing ends. And for a long time, like we just couldn't talk about it at all. It was destructive to our relationship, which also makes me wary of work relationships. And I don't want that to happen with my colleagues based on one data point. It doesn't define you as a human.
Mm,
But I had to say to this family member, like, we can't talk about this anymore. It's really hurting our relationship. And I am starting to create judgments. And like, that's not what this is about. And it's not productive for us because I love you. And so we ended it there. But they came to me recently and said, I don't want to open the debate, but I do respect you. I raised you. Like, I want to talk to you about your view on these two topics. And I just want to hear. I'm not like listening to rebut or debate. And that was really nice because I shared that and I'm like, neither of those two are actually things that drive me in one direction. Like, let me tell you the thing. And they were open to listening. So I think there's hope. I think it's the sad, like I'm usually a pretty big optimist. I think I'm a little pessimistic on this one because I don't think there is a winning direction, which is why even people leaders are struggling with how to tee this up
yeah.
because you are relying on adult maturity. And when
Mm,
you're in an organization with even just 50 people, the levels of maturity are going to vary so much.
yeah.
So that's my
Yes.
stance.
Absolutely. I wonder if there's a pre-conversation test. You passed the maturity test. You can have
Ooh.
a conversation. That sounds a bit wild, but there you go. You also, when you were talking, you reminded me, if you've been watching these episodes, a few episodes ago, we talked about dealing with conflict in the workplace
Yeah.
and coming to the conversation by understanding that the other party has common features, common, they're human 1.0, like the rest of us. There's commonalities between us, and finding that
Mhm.
or approaching a conversation with they're just a parent, a human, as someone's father, mother, sister, daughter, whatever it is, as am I. Let's not lose sight of that
Mhm.
and navigate from one, black or white extreme to somewhere in the middle, which is a bit gray in the
Yeah.
middle. But hey, everything's
Mhm.
gray in life. Well, hopefully it's a bit more rainbowy than gray. It's a
The
bit gray out
actual
there.
granny. Okay, I'm still reeling on your idea. I think we should make this and actually open source it for any people who want it. We need like a Google form qualifier survey on these conversations. And then at the end, it'll populate like you're good to go. Like, I think you're prepared. Like, if you want to engage, you're good to go. Or actually, I think you might need to work on this first.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I
hmm,
see. I see. I see. You might need to work on your inner secure, inner thoughts or inner
yes.
self-awareness or something before you can
Yeah.
go and
Mhm.
proceed to the next level of the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can be
Does
like,
that mean that's more work for us?
maybe more unpaid work, but it'd be
Why
fun.
did I more unpaid work? Why did I open my mouth?
It would be really fun. Now I'm thinking about the questions. It's like, rate this statement on a scale of 1 to 5. Like, no matter, what my opinion is, it will be held firm. Or like how much do you agree with this statement? Firm opinions held loosely. Like, I have a strong opinion, I have conviction, but I hold them loosely because I'm open.
Mm, this is
Okay.
going places. You
This is
you
going places. I might have to charge $20
love
for this form. But in all
more
seriousness,
unpaid work.
in all seriousness, maybe
Man.
maybe if it's raining later still and I have nothing better to do, I'm gonna create this form. But I think it is helpful just to give guidelines, make it like a bit lighthearted. I mean, that's, bring some levity to what is the heavity of this. It is not possible to solve for it with one thing, but maybe enabling in the spirit of keeping in that murky middle is the way to go.
Yeah, love it.
So, well, good
Love
to
where
see
your
you,
brain
Nick.
went. Love where your
Yeah.
brain went with that.
Yeah.
Good to see
Uh,
you.
Good to see you. I'll see you when it's
Anytime.
sunny out and we're not in spring of deception.
Yes, we can try and do a non-rainy walk one day.
Perfect. Well, great to see you. And everyone, if you have an opinion on what is the right murky middle approach, we would love to hear it. So add it in our LinkedIn post. See you soon.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.